Oh, hello. Welcome to my space. So, Paul made a comment the other day about how there's a distinct flavor to American YouTubers where most of them wear hats indoors. And the way he was brought up, and the way I was brought up actually, was to not wear a hat indoors because it was either disrespectful or just courteous to take your hat off when you go indoors. So, I walked past my cabinet today and I saw my hat and I went, I'm going to wear a hat today for Paul. Alright, so first one is this is a rusty Trackmasters train. It's made by Mattel. So it's got motorized wheels. Remember, we talk about motorized, tires are important. So these tires are intact. This one, eyebrows are intact as well. When I first started selling Thomas trains, I just assumed every train was $5 and maybe $10. And I look back at some of my old Facebook Marketplace listings and I was letting these trains go for like $10. And only later, as I started selling more of it, did I realize that these are worth a lot more than $10. This and the carriage and this cart I sold for $55. That's with the best offer. I would have, if I waited a bit longer, $60. But this actually comes with two of these coaches, like that, and they hook on. Conditions on the hooks are important as well, because what happens is if the hooks are opened up, when they go up or down, up or down the track, it comes off. So this one, as you can see, there's a bit of a snap-on off, like that. So even though this wasn't complete, color matching a cart with some cargo, and this stuff comes off. $55. Also, these are level. They do come in different heights. They do come in different heights. Some people like it to be one short, one tall. But once again, it's toys, right? How you like seeing your cargo is really up to you. So that's not so important. But you'll see some with alternating heights. There's no right or wrong. It's toys, and I think that if you take there's no right or wrong with toys, and then you just mash it all together, the nuance of that fit of what you present in a lot, because these items can all be sold individually. This for $10, this for 20, this for 40. Put it all together, it's 55. You make less, but then you sell it quicker. If it matches and it fits within the visual of the use case, where people look in and they go, yeah, it makes sense, or the functionality makes sense, then you become a go-to store. And that's the differentiating factor between you becoming a go-to store and an expert. You don't have to call yourself an expert. People just come to you because they think that you know what you're doing, versus an online op shop where it feels like you picked up a couple of bags of toys and you just lumped all the trains together, all the people together, all the animals together without any rhyme or reason. And as you know, the more specialized your store is and your curation is, the higher price you'll get, because people who appreciate that pay up for that. Something as simple as My Little Ponies. I sell a couple of My Little Ponies as well, and I've seen lots that are specific to a range of My Little Ponies, and they get sold for much more than lots that are just a bunch of generic My Little Ponies, and then a lot of just ponies, where there's a mix of official and unofficial stock. In which case, then we're talking $2 a pony in those lots versus specific to a range of My Little Ponies, between 10 and $20 each, even in the bulk lot. Yeah, something as simple as, so you'll see all the colors are red. You'll see there's a tying of orange into orange and yellow and then red, but also the roofs are black. So if I had to pick another item to go with this, I would have picked something with either red or black so that the color matches quite nicely. This buyer as well, this buyer, I remember them because when they bought from me, their last name was the same as one of my clients from when I was a mortgage broker. So that's 4 years ago now. So they've been buying from me for 4 years. And I specifically remember I had listed a train individually, and then they wanted the coaches that came with it. And at that time, I was still learning the category. And I remember him sending me a photo of it. I started looking for it. And then I realized that I had it, and I redid the listing for them. And then I also added a couple of spare carriages for free. And they always remember that because he made it in time for Christmas, and they've been coming back ever since. Which goes to show, when you're small, I see so many resellers who don't want to put in the work. Like, they don't want, and I don't mean they don't want to work, not laziness, but it's like there's this imaginary threshold of effort that they feel that if they go above it, it's not worth their while, or it's a waste of time, or it's unnecessary. Just bear in mind, investments are such that you put in first and get a return later. Sometimes you can't even foresee the return, and for the most part, if you know what the return is going to be, it's going to be a low one. Just think about that for a second. A bank tells you you're going to get 2% on a savings account. It's a known return, it's a consistent return, it's a low return. You invest into something like Bitcoin, there's an unknown return, there's a range of return, but for the most part, it's unknown. And just the nature of being unknown increases its risk, but also increases its potential reward. Likewise, investing in customers is very similar to that. You don't know that you're going to get a return, but you do know that the range of possible returns could be a 4-year-old customer that keeps coming back, paying asking price or close to asking price. In this case, 55 as his best offer on 60. No complaints, no issues, open conversation. Or you could get nothing. But you do it for that possibility. Invest in your customers, especially if you're small. Get used to it, because if you don't get used to it when you're small, you're definitely not gonna come around to it when you're busier and overwhelmed and doing more admin tasks. At the moment, you're documenting things on spreadsheets. It's a couple of lines every other day. At the moment, you don't have much of a tax obligation if you're small. But once you get bigger, you're lodging, quarterly, well, in our case, BASes. But I'm sure I think in the States it'll be like sales tax, right? Quarterly, monthly, whatever it is that you pay to the government. Those things take up time, capacity. Those things don't put you in a mindset place to be creative. If anything, they put you in a mindset place to be more autopilot. And so, whilst you've got, I guess, open air to be creative and to think about how you can improve your business, consider investing in your customers and going that extra mile and removing that arbitrary, imaginary threshold above which you feel effort is unnecessary. Just give it your all. Come to think of it, when I was talking about the Discord community that we're building with the team, they were talking about, like, at what point is it worth it or not worth it to build? And I just said to them, I don't really have a worth it number. Like, I don't have a minimum number of subscribers that I would love to be in our community. I don't have a minimum number of subscriptions that I like to see paid. At the moment, it's free. At some point, it will be paid, and it will be a very affordable, low amount, because we want to build upon that, more professional tiers for advanced business use cases. So we're not going to charge you an arm and a leg just to be there. The be there part will be very, very affordable. And I was just saying that the difference to me, the thing I want is momentum, and because if you create a space where people come to work and they don't feel like there's enough energy in the room, they too reflect that energy. We can't help ourselves. Not everybody is a fire starter. And so occasionally you might luck upon a fire starter that comes into a room and is the one that always at the front of the conga line. But for the most part, people turn up to gyms and they reflect the energy in the room. It could be you take the music away, you take away the motivated social media people who are trying to do their proper form for influencer purposes. For the most part, it becomes a very boring, plain gym. But if you go there, you see personal trainers coaching athletes, you see the music's pumping, there's graffiti on the wall that's motivational rather than cheap and ill-fitting. There's bright colors, there's clear windows. It's clean. The air feels fresh, even though it's a sweaty place. Environments matter, and that adds to the energy that then compounds into the desire to do new things. And so when I look at starting any sort of business or starting, whether it be reselling, whether it be a Discord community, whether it be a YouTube channel, it's all about building upon the energy so that the energy pushes you into newer and better things. And the example I gave the team was that because you're working with people, right? Reselling, we're selling to people, YouTube, you're broadcasting to people, educating, building community, building a personal brand. With the Discord community, it's about interactions and actually working together, building business relationships together. People can ask for anything. People can ask for. That's why in offices you have people asking for ice cream machines. If enough people want it, it happens. But nobody ever thinks at the very start of a company, we will eventually have ice cream machines. It's an open question. Similar to a gym, nobody ever thinks we're going to be doing cooking classes. It's nice to have, but if there's enough energy in the room where people want to learn from a professional chef how to cook meals so that they can better their fitness programs, it'll happen. But the energy has to be there for the momentum to shift into that space. So that has nothing to do with how is it worth my time or not. If it gets to that point, it compounds. It's definitely worth your time. And that's the mindset of a business person versus an employee. If you come into reselling with an employee mindset and you're constantly tracking your hourly rate, you actually you're not compelled to invest. That's what I want to get. You're not compelled to invest. Of course, people will say if you spend too much time investing and you don't build your knowledge and you're not refining your processes and you're not checking the frame that you're viewing your decisions through, and your perspective doesn't change, then yes, you could potentially be investing into a thing that has no potential to grow because it's not improving. But if you're constantly learning and constantly improving and constantly applying and refining, or in my case, what I say is maximizing, learn, remaximize, learn, remaximize, then you're going to find that you want to be learning, maximizing, learning, remaximizing, learning, remaximizing, so that you really set yourself up with this momentum of energy leading into future opportunities that will see you compound your return. That's it, really, because all of us started with the same tools: selling stuff. Meeting people online. Selling stuff, meeting people online. Where does that go? Who knows? Up to you, really, how you see that endeavor. And focusing on the right things. Yeah. You want to be learning. So we want to be learning, maximizing, learning, remaximizing, learning, remaximizing, so that we find ourselves bringing this momentum of energy into opportunities that compound our returns. And at that point in time, you will know that the way that you do things, your posture towards investing in your business will pay off. Like there'll be no doubt about that. It's no longer a case of will I get a return or not. Even if the things you invest in don't give you a return, you'll snap out of it and do it again, because you know that I am the kind of person that eventually gets that kind of return. I'm the kind of person that serves my buyers in such a way that I will get repeat buyers. You're no longer getting thrown off by that one buyer that got angry. You're no longer thrown off by bad feedback. You're a good thing. You know what I mean? You're a good thing. That's confidence. To me, that's the kind of confidence that I wish for all of you in my community, where you're a good thing and people all agree you're a good thing, and it's not arrogant and it's not like I'm trying to blow smoke up your ass to make you think that you're a good thing. Fundamentally, because all the fundamentals are there. We know that even if the fundamentals are right, you're going to have wins and losses, but those wins are going to be kind of wins. So yeah. So these are Pixar cars, ice racer cars, and essentially they look different. They look different from the normal car because they've got the snow wheels on them. I'll put a screenshot of what the normal car looks like. So if I put this here, screenshot should be there. And yeah, some of them have even different colors. So comparing the two, one of the most common objections I get when I tell people that I sell toy cars is, but how do you make money? How do you know the sell-through? And I've tried toys before and it sits for a while and then eventually I bundle it and I let it go. But what I'm really hearing is, I don't know why someone would buy that toy. And I don't know how to get it to move. And I think that it's price. I think that it's bundling. I think that it's, if I can't make it worthwhile, I need to figure out how to make it cheaper. Sometimes cheaper isn't the only option. Sometimes a buyer wants to maximize their shipping by buying more of something within a range so that they can get it all from one place. Sometimes it's not even about the shipping. For example, if I have to buy all these 5 cars from 5 different sellers and get it shipped to me, the fact that I have to track it out, it's the mental load, not even the shipping cost. And it might seem, you might go, yeah, but also the shipping cost. Yeah, but think about it, the mental load of having to track 5 different things for one purpose. It's like trying to find food supplied from it's like five birthday cakes to make up one cake. You know, it's like you just want to get it from one place. So when I look at items like with toys that have essentially a low sell-through because no amount of pricing or promotions will actually make it move quicker because the demand is not current. And by that I mean, if you have a Ninja Turtles movie out at the moment, all the Ninja Turtles figurines that are tied to that movie have current demand. But if you're talking about, because the movie is out, sell all the vintage stuff, it doesn't quite work that way. Yes, Ninja Turtles is now front of mind, such that people might stumble across or seek out the older figurines. But that's very much secondary demand. And secondary demand has no rhyme or reason. It's there, and it's your job to figure out how to connect to there. And the best way to do it really is to do what people have done for ages. Antiques have antique shops. Putting an antique item in a new furniture shop doesn't make it move any quicker. It's just there with the new furniture and someone might like it and buy it. However, if you've Discord, if you've got an antique shop that is just for antiques and people go there because they know that's where they will satisfy their demand for antique furniture, then you're more likely to move a few items at a go to the one buyer who likes what they see. So likewise, when I look at toys, the best way to move them is to actually have the widest range possible, especially if you're in the secondary market, because all it takes is for one buyer to watch a show from 3 years ago, go to a shop, realize it's not in stock, come to your store, realize all of it's in stock, and they just buy at asking price. Because by that point, the scarcity is obvious. By that point, the convenience is obvious. And by that point, the relief of the search is also very obvious. So yes, these cars, $125 for 5 of them. So these 2 cars just sold. They were from 2019, $2 on the shelf when they were new. Both of them together, $8, so $4 each, combined shipping, of course. And what you'll see is there's a very similar design to both of them. Literally, the only difference is the color. So design's the same, just one's red and one's teal. Hot Wheels is like that. Most of the time, you'll get the same car released in two different colors and a slight difference in the finish, but the theme is the same. So if you look at the hood, they're rusty, but you look at the hood, the rust also presents differently. Little things of why someone might want 2 colors instead of the one. So this is the Land Rover Series 2. This came out this year, and I've only had it listed for a month. These were $2 on the shelf, and the fact that it's a first-time casting means that people want it because it's the first one, first edition. People have asked me, how do you make money when you look at the whole shelf of Hot Wheels and you go, wow, they're all $2, $1, whatever the price may be. How do I know which one has value, which one does not? Sometimes people will pick up a Porsche and then it's not worth much more than, $1 more than the asking price. And sometimes it's worth, well, in this case, $2 to $5.50. And the reason is you need to understand where it sits in terms of the history of Hot Wheels. It sounds like a big thing, but essentially in this case, first time being made. Porsches are quite common. Some Porsche models are more sought after than others. And in any context, right? If you buy something for $2 and you can get a 50% return on top, that's a good return. But people are fickle that way. If they see $1 on 2, they go, it's only $1. But if they get But if they get, $10 on 100 in a savings account, they go, it's 10%. People like to use the number that makes them feel good, and they frown and they, scoff at the number that they want to belittle. At the end of the day, pick one, right? Either you frame it as percentages or you frame it as dollars, and work on which one you want. So, and most businesses, when they talk about profit margin, they have a number. It's a percentage number. It's not a dollar number. Obviously, if you need more dollars to provide for the business, you then grow your business at that percentage margin, so that the dollars reflects in your ability to pay for staff and whatever. And if you ask any collectors, they probably wouldn't be able to tell you, because it's too much. It's too much to explain. It's like, this is this and this is that. And it almost can sound like, a bit of a geek fest, where the more we talk, is like, oh, come on, just tell me which one to pick up. Yeah, but it's not just about which one to pick up. There's more to it than that. And I think that's every category on eBay. There's more to it than that. And so if you don't have the patience to learn the more to it than that, that's pretty much a signal not to get into a category. It is what it is. And if you think that that's not reasonable, ask yourself, how much do you actually know about the categories that you sell in quite well? And if you bother to sit down and write all the things that you know, and you try and explain it to, if you try and explain it to your mum, who doesn't sell it or doesn't appreciate it, the number of things that you would then say to convince them that it's a worthwhile category, that's how much you know. There's a lot to know about every category. That's because literally anything can be sold as a reseller. Give yourself credit for what you know, and actually appreciate the depth of information there is in other categories as well, and that's what it takes for you to actually win in those categories. Take a guess, which one sells for more? Any guesses? This one has metallic paint, and it even has like a little question mark on the top. And most people, when they look at this, they go, this is a special edition because the paint looks special. This looks like an ordinary character, but it does have the word Supero Vanlig on it. Essentially, this is a super chase car. This is the more valuable car. I like this conversation because depending on how you approach the category, you'll arrive at a different conclusion. So for example, if you approach it from I'm just going to research cars, and as in the franchise cars, and look at the die-cast cars, and find myself with a brochure of the releases, I will immediately know this is the super chase car. Keep an eye out for it. It's the most valuable one in the set for that year. But if I approach it from surely a special edition must look special, this is the one that I would think is more valuable, and I'd be looking for this car. Completely ignoring the existence of this car. I just assume if I don't see it, it probably isn't a thing. Some people might even come to the conclusion, if they see this loose in an op shop, and go, is it even real? Is it fake? Who knows? Because if you so those two angles, two different conclusions already, unless someone points out that this is valuable, like I'm doing now. If you come at it from a sought after character point of view, because you've watched the movie and you recognize the character, you'd pick this one up again, because you'd go, this is Ramon. Ramon is a popular character. I've not seen this paint work before. I've seen the classic purple one, screenshot. I've seen the green one, screenshot. I've seen the blue one. This one I haven't seen before. So you're basing it on your exposure level. Forget about the fact that the internet has all this information freely available if you wanted to search for it. But a lot of resellers do this. They just learn as they go, and that's normal. They'd still end up picking up this one instead of this one. And if you do watch the movie, you'll realize this guy only shows up for like a brief moment. So, and oftentimes, toy manufacturers are quite cheeky that way. They will allow you to have all the common characters and some variation of those common characters for a slight premium. And then they'll pick some random obscure character and call it a chase car, or a super chase car, or a super treasure hunt, or a treasure hunt. And you wouldn't know it unless you really get into the franchise and the toy release memos and put it together. You'd go, this car. So for context, here's how much they both sold for. Both of them on the shelf were $8 at the time of release. This sold on eBay for $25. This sold for $70. $25, $70. So the takeaway here is not go hunt for this car. If you keep hunting for if you go hunting for this car, you're probably not going to find very many of this car, because it's in the 3 years that I've been selling Pixar cars, I reckon this is like the 4th one I've seen. So this one I see a lot more often. Takeaway from this segment is to recognize your starting point when researching a category, because the different starting points will lead you to different conclusions, and depending on your, I don't want to say tolerance, but depending on your, depending on your good enough, let's call it your good enough. If you know that it's an $8 car brand new and you can get $10 for it, and you find yourself selling one for 25, if that's good enough for you as far as sought after versus normal value, you may just go, yep, no more research needed. And you might even pick this up and put it on eBay for $10, not even knowing. Because you go and see, you might comp it at a time where there's like 2 listed and they're also listed for really stupid prices, and you might go, nah, because $25 is good enough, surely this shouldn't be going for 70. You might put it up for 25, they'll sell immediately, and you'll think nothing more of it. This is a cool one. This is a Golden State Warriors Matchbox car. It's got the vintage Golden State Warriors logo on it. It's a Model A Ford van, and it's got the rubber tires on it as well. So in terms of what gives an item value, rubber tires, premium construction build, and a solid franchise to go with it. It's in pretty banged up condition. I mean, it looks all right from this distance, but if you go closer, you'll notice corner scuffs. You'll also notice a chip on the top there. And we pointed out in the photos as well. So this went for $12 plus shipping. Cool. This order is pretty obvious that they like Mazdas. So rotary engine Mazdas. Total, they paid 9 cars, $42.39. So it's not an expensive order, but still, when you think of moving individual cars for $2 a piece, it doesn't feel like it's worthwhile. But when it becomes $42 plus shipping, divide by 9, that's over $4 a car. That's pretty worth it to me anyways, because picking it doesn't take that long, but at the same time, it leads to activity that leads to more activity, because we know on eBay, oh, hello. Hi. You're here for? The cars. Yes. There we are. Where was I? Yes, someone came to do a local pickup. So when you have a wide enough range, anything that is long tail, low in value, people will come and bundle it and justify the shipping that they pay. Honda Civic Type R. Very sought after car in real life, very sought after car in toy form as well. I can't find an item. And normally the way that I would find an item is sort by date that it was listed, and then go back and see if maybe it might be in a different location. I might have just forgotten to change SKUs because I list in batches. Let's have a look. H7, supposed to be in H6, but it's not, so maybe it's in H7, JO23. Okay, and Q3. Let's go. F2 and F3. Already a promising start because we're looking for a yellow car. Not this one, not this one. So not F2 or F3, H7 and H10. So essentially we're after this car, MX-5, but yellow. Found it. So it was H7. And now to just check that the photos match, including the scuffs. Hang on, that didn't take too long. You might be wondering, why did I bother writing down all these locations when, I mean, clearly it was the closest one. Sometimes it's not. And there have been times when I've assumed it's the closest one. I have to come back and work out the SKUs I have or haven't looked at. So generally just list them all. It didn't take that long. I think it took like 2 minutes, right, just now. And then go through each one from closest to furthest. And then that way I can cross it off the list. So in this case, we wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 25 different tubs. Of course, when I'm listing my stuff, I've got stuff that's in, we didn't list 25 different locations, full tubs of toy cars in one sitting. That's stupid. It was more like there might be 10 cars in one, 20 in one, and so forth. Just clearing those folders as we go. So some days it could just be three tubs if, let's say, they were just purely Hot Wheels tubs. But in this case, most of them were mixed tubs, not full Hot Wheels tubs. And also, on that note, I've been asked to put all the Hot Wheels into a single tub. And the reason I don't do that is because it's heavy. Like, these things sit on plastic rails, and so far they can hold the weight. But if you stack them all fully, I don't know. I definitely don't think it'll hold. So I try and vary up the tubs with some of these like plastic Thomas trains that are a lot lighter, so that the shelves, I guess the railings last longer as well. All right, last order, and then go take some photos. Done. Keep on rolling.